Do you guys think the community is concerned about anything? Let's find out. Hello YouTubers, this is the noobifier. I started this playlist and series called Community Concerns because I have more time to research. If you missed last week's installments, they're in a playlist that could be started, much like a podcast, when you're designing your new art that can be published as an NFT. Consider bookmarking it and checking in every once in a while to get caught up to date with what the community is talking about. And if you find it fun, please do me a favor and share it with friends or org mates. Today is the 7th of June, 2022. I try to do them on Tuesdays and I try to choose topics that are well presented and have a good banter back and forth. We begin with the threads. Kyle Bai is asking for a little bit more speed and dedication from the team when dealing with some bugs that can be seen as emergency bugs. They said inventory gets into a state of infinite loading, which prevents its use, and that cannot wait for a future patch. It has to be fixed now. They can't eat, they can't drink, and they die. It's been reported, and according to their research, it isn't scheduled to be repaired until they release the next patch. Tick correctly pointed out that the developers are going to fix things in a manner that they feel fits the development cycle better, and backers can't be expected to dictate that cycle. Lancaster confirmed this further by saying that managers dictate the work efforts and that bugs need to be identified, but it might take time for a Q&A to determine what's going on and produce and report the bugs. And then Harry Greer's to the rescue by pointing out to the OP that the developers are already doing what they suggested, that they are frequently doing hot fixes between main patches, and that often goes unnoticed. It's a live build, and although the OP's post was a good idea, that we don't really need this idea as the developers are already doing this. They're obviously aware of the major bugs that need to be fixed, and they will fix them. But I will end by asking you, when you play, are you mostly able to get around and do what you want to do, or are you being hit by higher than usual levels of bugs? Do you find it better than last year or better than last month? Comment in the comments. Next, Vaspula asked if they can use voice attack in Star Citizen. Shiny Hobo said yes, and others said that they had a difficult time with the voice engine being accurate. Chad and Bodhi made suggestions that the microphone needs to be set up properly and that the OP should perform training sets to improve accuracy. Grey6 said that they were never impressed with voice attack, but others were. I actually have a lot of experience with voice attack, and I'm going to say that the basic voice engine is well trained by default to hear a voice with a more colonial accent, right? So your British, Australian, Scottish, Jamaican, hard New York accent, these seem to mess with it a lot more. So when you're using it and you're unable to get what you want, for example, you want to say shields front and it thinks that you're saying shields bunt, then change the trigger word to shield bunt and then talk normally. Sherbury said that they feel voice attack is a game changer in Star Citizen and in Elite Dangerous, and I agree. Comment in the comments. Do you use it? Do you have a bad experience? Is it good? Or is it as important to you as your mouse and keyboard? Next, Craig asked, because they've already just updated their SSD, if going from 32 to 64 gigs of RAM would make a difference. Many said yes and some said no. Some said why not? It won't hurt, but I don't like the idea of paying for an upgrade that may do nothing. So when I tested it, I tested with 32 and 64 at 1080p. The system never crossed over 30 gigs. At 4K at Ultra though, the system was often below 32 gigs. However, there were times on PlanetSide or in gases where the game actually expanded as high as 43 gigabytes. So if you don't have it, but have a good SSD, the game could start swapping to the drive. And you may not necessarily notice it, but the question was, do I need? And that answer depends on what you do. If you play at 4K on a top spec computer and your preset is Ultra, then I strongly suggest 64 gigs is normal. And if you don't, then no. Comment in the comments. Are you aware of the telemetry page on Spectrum? Do you often check in to see what it's saying about your system and what the performance means to you? Next, Voidfletcher announced that in their opinion, the greatest weakness in getting new players into Star Citizen is the lack of a manual or tutorial, and that more efforts need to be made sooner than later to polish the game. They acknowledge that the game is in development and putting efforts to polish placeholders would be a waste of time, but this wasn't the type of thing that they were worried about specifically. They produced a list of observed issues. It was a list of over 50 line items with a detailed issue followed by a possible solution. And thank you for that. We all do love a good armchair developer, and as a content creator, by default rebuttal to this is that the developers are likely already aware of all these issues and plan to fix them. They're probably somewhere on some whiteboard. But in this case, I will side with the OP and say that it's unlikely that such a detail exists anywhere at CIG. So, Voidfletcher, I just wanted to say thank you for your efforts. This community is how we operate, And that's where the real power comes from, right after the seemingly limitless flow of money. We care enough to pay, and then we also care enough to take the time to pitch in with our constructive feedback. They ended by asking for more examples, and they wanted to say hello to Chris. Ugly McFinn added to the thread, and others did as well. I have it linked in the description. You should read it and add to it if you like. It's important to acknowledge that many of these will likely be addressed eventually as things are added. But isn't it nice to give the team such a detailed list of issues so that the team can look at it before applying a fix? Brainstorming like this allows for efficient use of everyone's time, and then things get done better first. Next. Osram is asking for a mute option in global chat. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Why isn't this the most basic feature, and why is it missing? Playing any game and not being able to prevent another player from verbally harassing you is absolute insanity. Yes, you can push F12 and close chat. Is it not a feature that we need to be able to click a name and toggle mute, or even potentially click report? Anyway, not much more to say about that. I would love to hear your comments. Am I being crazy? Is this an issue, or do you agree that it's important? Next, Marola wanted to know why Orion looked the way it did with its huge spiny connections. They said it's clear that each platform has its own set of thrusters and that it doesn't make sense for them to be all connected together. They want it gone because they think floating islands are cooler. Tomato said it best by saying that all of the plumbing and support that would be needed would be consolidated into these, so they would need to be connected. Many said that islands are effing cool, but many more said that they just like it the way it is. And there really isn't a reason for you to comment, I suppose, on this, unless you want to say that you're super happy with Orion or that you think that islands are better. Post any suggestions or tweaks that would make this better in your opinion. That's it for this week. Seemingly not much that people are pissed off about. In general, people seem to just be going about their business, waiting for the next development. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. You can help out by sharing with a friend or orgmate. They take time to research and render, so I obviously appreciate your support. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.